Have you ever looked at a professional sprinter and wondered how can they possibly run so fast? Is it just the way they are born or is it the way they train? Well, the truth is it's a combination of both of those. While I can't change your genetics, I can give you a framework of how to train like a professional sprinter. Everything from the warm up to the running drills to the sprinting itself. Stay tuned. We start with a general full body mobility routine, starting off with cobra stretch into a downward dog. Next, we get into world's greatest stretch, which is incredible for mobilizing pretty much every single joint in your body. You do that on both sides, and then we go into a cat cow stretch, which is great to mobilize your spine. And right after that, we go straight into your lower body mobility, starting off with hip 90-90 switch, where you're dropping both your knees to the ground, keeping your heels fixed onto the ground, and trying to stay upright. Following which, we are doing seated hip circles, which is great for internal rotation of the hips, and the glute medius muscle is worked very well here, which is incredibly important for sprinting. After that, we are getting into a deep squat and then doing some thoracic rotations, which also opens up your hip a bit more. And then we rock back and forth while driving the knee over the toes, all while trying to keep your heel anchored to the ground. This is great for ankle mobility. And then we go into side to side leg swings. Oscillate your leg left and right like a pendulum, and with each swing, try to get it higher and higher. You can also get onto your toes to make it more dynamic. And then we are doing a deep lateral squat from one side to the other side. It's incredible to open up your hamstrings and your adductors. Done with the lower body, now let's move on to the upper body. Grab a resistance band and drop big circles. Banded shoulder circumduction. This is important because when you run, you really do need to swing your arms rapidly. And then some hip flexor activations by double looping a resistance band and marching on the spot. Moving on, we're going to be doing some deep lunges into a rotation. This not only mimics the running movement at a very basic level, at the same time, it helps you stretch the internal oblique muscles by rotating to the side. After that, we just have a little bit of activation to get to. You lean against a wall or anything that is sturdy and raise your toes. This activates your tibialis anterior muscle, the muscle next to your shin. And then single leg calf raises to activate your calves. And there we go. We have activated every single muscle that needs to work while sprinting. We have mobilized every joint that would go through a full range of motion when you sprint. And then we step onto the track for some running drills. Starting off, the most basic one is A skips, which teaches you coordination and how to strike your feet under your hips. And then B skips activates your hamstrings and emphasizes on driving your feet back into the ground to push yourself forward. Then we do C skips, which is basically driving your knees forward and then to the side. This is a little bit tricky at first, but once you learn it, it carries over very well to sprinting fast. Practice these drills to learn sprinting posture and coordination. And then we are just doing some pogo hops. Try to jump as high as you can in the same spot. Trying to pull your toes up as you jump helps a lot. Minimize the ground contact time. Think the floor is lava. This prepares you to generate power when you strike your foot into the ground at fast velocity. And then we do some wall drills, which I feel is very important to reinforce proper posture and lean forward when you're accelerating. And that's something I always struggle with. So we are just doing some wall switch and then we do some triple switch. Tap, tap, tap. You drive your knee forward and the back leg drives into the ground. And you try to maintain a solid posture all while pushing into the wall and maintaining a neutral spine. This really helps a lot when you're trying to accelerate. And then we do some knee drives by dragging your back foot across the ground and then driving your knee straight forward as you get more upright. This is again very important for your hip flexors and also for the knee extension. Moral of the story, don't jump on a wet track. And here's an old running clip of mine. I always used to do the 2 point stance where I'm standing and then I start running. And this is what it looked like. I was doing pretty well, but one of the things that I would improve is that I'm a little too upright even in the acceleration phase, whereas you should be leaning slightly more forward in order to get past more faster, because I do have the power levels or the strength levels of any professional sprinter. I mean, of course, not the Olympic grade top sprinters, but any competitive sprinter. But it wasn't translating well because of my posture. So I started implementing falling starts where you can see I should be a little more inclined forward but that's something that's like a mental block, and I'm trying to work on it. The second rep, however, I drive myself down and then push off into the ground aggressively. This looks a lot better. I do about 4 reps of falling starts to warm up, gradually increasing in intensity, and then start off the actual sprints with 3 point stance, which is with one hand on the ground, which helps me stay closer to the ground, which can help me drive more into the ground and stay more leaning forward. You might notice I'm not driving my knee as high as I should be. That's probably because I'm afraid I would lose balance because the track is a bit wet. And that's how we wrap the session up. There you have it. That's an entire sprint session from start to finish. Hopefully that helps you out. And whether you want to actually become a professional sprinter, or you just want to be fit and athletic, you want to be better when you play a sport, or you want to look like a sprinter, whatever your goal might be, sprinting is something that everybody should be considering. And this is something that you can absolutely implement in your training sessions. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned because there's a lot of good stuff coming up, like this right here. Until next time, take care, stay hungry.